Okay, you know the scene. You've seen it a million times. A public official stands up, raises their right hand, and gets sworn in. It happens everywhere, from the presidential inauguration all the way down to your local town hall. It feels like this bedrock ritual of American government. But what are they actually promising? And maybe more importantly, does that promise even mean anything today?
It's a really important question, because before anyone can take office, we're talking senators, federal judges, even just regular government employees, they have to make a very specific promise. It's like their ticket to entry. It's the one commitment they make to the entire country before they can even start their job. And this promise, it's called the Oath of Office. Now, this isn't supposed to be just some empty ceremony or a bit of political theater. No, it's designed to be a sacred contract, right? It's a personal guarantee from that official to the people they represent, binding them to the rule of law and the limits of their own power.
So to really understand what's at stake here, we have to look at the words themselves. This is the exact language, the precise promise that millions of public servants have spoken.
There it is. Just let that sink in for a second. It starts with a solemn promise to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Then it requires true faith and allegiance to that same Constitution. And this part is absolutely crucial. They have to swear they're taking this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. Basically, no crossed fingers. These are incredibly powerful, binding words. So one way to look at this is to break it down into 4 core promises. It's not just one big, vague idea. First, you have to actively defend the Constitution. Second, your primary loyalty has to be to its principles. Third, you gotta mean it. You have to take the oath honestly. And finally, you have to actually do your job and do it well.
But where did this oath even come from? Well, it didn't just pop out of thin air. Believe it or not, its very existence was a huge point of contention way back at the nation's founding. It was literally forged in the fires of debate.
And you can see the divide right here. On one side, you had guys like James Wilson, who basically said oaths are left-handed security, a weak, flimsy promise. His argument was, look, if the government is good, you don't need an oath. And if it's bad, an oath isn't going to stop him anyway. But then on the other side, you had figures like Justice Joseph Story, who thought the need for an oath was just obvious, a total no-brainer. The fact they argued about this so fiercely just shows how seriously they took this whole idea.
And the oath we have today, it's been through a few drafts. It started out super simple back in 1789, just a pledge to support the Constitution. But then the Civil War happened, and that changed everything. It was strengthened into what was called an ironclad oath to weed out anyone who was disloyal, and that's when "So help me God" was officially added. After some more changes over the years, we finally landed on the version we use today, which was standardized in 1966.
Okay, so we have this sacred promise, right? It has deep historical roots, it evolved over time, but a promise is only as good as the person who keeps it. And that brings us to a really tough question that one modern analysis is asking. Is this promise being broken? Now, the central argument from one source we looked at is pretty shocking. It claims that the oath isn't just being ignored by a few people here and there, but that it's being systemically violated across the board as a pattern. That's a huge claim, so let's dig into what it actually means. First off, what does it even mean to violate the oath? According to legal definitions, it's not just about some big, dramatic crime. It's about the neglect or knowing failure to do the job the law requires. In other words, not doing something you're supposed to can be just as much of a violation as doing something you're not supposed to. So, according to this one analysis, how is this playing out? Well, for the legislative branch, Congress, the argument is that by creating these huge federal programs for things like education or healthcare, they're going way beyond the specific powers the Constitution actually gives them. For the executive branch, the claim is that agencies are basically making law through their own rules, creating this massive administrative state. And for the judiciary, the accusation is judicial activism, that judges are making decisions based on their own policy views instead of just interpreting the law as it's written. Okay, this all leads to a massive, glaring question. If an analysis claims these violations are so widespread and happening in every branch of government, where is the accountability? Why aren't there more consequences? I mean, it's the natural next question, right? If you take this super serious, binding oath and then break it, you'd think there'd be some kind of repercussion. But
The system, as this analysis describes it, it has a built-in complication. And that complication is what this analysis calls the immunity paradox. Think about it like this. Each branch of government is wrapped in a kind of legal armor. Legislators have the speech or debate clause, which gives them broad protection. Executive officials have qualified immunity, which makes them incredibly hard to sue. And judges? They have absolute immunity for their official judicial actions. These are some seriously powerful shields.
So you see the problem here. It's this deep contradiction. We have a system that demands this public, solemn promise to uphold the Constitution, but at the exact same time, it gives the very people who take that oath these powerful legal protections that can shield them from any real accountability when they're accused of breaking it. And that leaves us wrestling with a really fundamental question. If an oath is taken but can't really be enforced, what's the point? Is its power purely symbolic? Is it just a moral guide? Or is it meant to be a standard that we, the citizens, are supposed to hold our leaders to, even if the legal system doesn't? What is the true value of a promise if it can't be enforced?